Hi everyone, I'm 门先师。Hi everyone, I'm Simon 门先师。I'm going to present a 10-minute brief report about our study of chi-metaphor and simile annotation based on parsing and concept net. Okay, let's begin with the introduction of chi-metaphor and simile. The chi-metaphor in this study refer to the expression with the pattern of X is a kind of Y, and the expression with such pattern could have be two reading. In the case 1, the literal reading, this pattern will be used to explain X by its analogy to Y. For example, tofu is a kind of nutrient and delicious food. In this expression, this expression is intended to be mean literally. So tofu is here we try to explain tofu by its analogy to food. Tofu is a kind of food, so it is a literal expression here. Okay, in the second case, this pattern can also be used to signal a metaphorical reading of a metaphorical expression. For example, a totally free market is a kind of metaphor myth. Here, we try to suggesting that a free market is just impossible. So here myth is in a metaphorical usage. So we try to use this pattern S is a kind of Y to evoke such metaphorical effect. Okay, basically it's about the chi-metaphor. Okay, now let's go to the similar expression. Here, similar expressions are marked with similar words such as 像 or 一般, like in the sentence, and where the above chi-metaphor expression does not have such similar words. Okay, basically it's about the introduction of chi-metaphor and simile. Okay, let's go to our research question. In our corpus-based study of metaphor, we begin with these two special types of metaphorical expression with regular pattern, as you see in the A is a kind of B, or the simile word pattern. That's the chi-metaphor and simile. We focus on these two kinds of metaphorical expression, so that based on these patterns, we can extract map concept in this expression and to do further analysis. So in this paper, we'll examine the role of concepts in metaphorical identification. We got two research questions. First, how to automatically capture the map nominal concept in chi-metaphor and the simile expression. And the second research question would be, can the similarity distance between two concepts can facilitate the chi-metaphor annotation or identification? Okay, let's go to some literature review about the previous metaphorical identification procedure. Okay, the PecoJazz group since 2007 and to 2017, they proposed the metaphor identification procedure. As you can see, divided into 4 steps. It is a good guideline for their metaphor identification, but you can see basically they focus on the lexical unit or the word label of metaphorical meaning. And here is another just the illustration of the same metaphorical identification procedure. You can see, it's a good guideline, but they also got some issue of the proposed metaphorical identification procedure by the Pegojazz group. Basically, this procedure is designed for to identify metaphorical sense, so on the word level. And it also adopts a bottom-up approach that does not assume that related conceptual metaphor guide the metaphorical identification. And in our study, we will address the concept in the role of concept in metaphorical identification. So let's see our methodology. Our data come from two corpora. The first one is the Academia Sinica Balance Corpora 4.0. With the pattern A is a kind of Y. This pattern we send this query to the Sinica corpus and we retrieve 144 results or sentence with such pattern. And we have in this first experiment, we have one annotator to identify in the result 19 metaphorical sentences among the matched 144 sentences from Sinica corpus. So we can see again, tofu is kind of nutrition and delicious food. Here we will consider it's not metaphorical at all. It's just to try to explain tofu by its analogy to 食物, the food. But from Sinica corpus, we also retrieve such sentences. 颜色是一种可以影响心灵的力量。And 颜色 and 力量 here we consider our annotator consider here is can be identified a metaphorical usage of this sentence. And for our second experiment, we focus on the annotation of simile sentence. Our data come from the corpus of contemporary Taiwanese Mandarin. With the pattern Y S 一样的 Y, this pattern we retrieve 400 sentences from the corpus, and the other annotator identify among the 400 retrieved sentences, we identify 293 similar sentences. And for example, he has a face like a dragon. We found this kind of simile expression, and we also found those non-simile. For example, mother gave him the same thing, the same as his brother. He's not metaphorical at all for this sentence. Basically, it's about our first two experiments. Okay, let's go to our third experiment about how to semi-automatically identify the concepts in the sentence and to facilitate metaphorical identification. Okay, in this experiment, we try to semi-automatically identify the metaphorical expression. And the following tool and resource explored, we use the dependency parser to locate automatically the two map concept in a sentence. And we also exploit the concept net to calculate the distance between concepts. So for our chi-metaphor expression, basically it is in a copular sentence. So it is with the pattern S is a kind of Y. So basically, in dependency parsing, S will be passed as the nominal subject of Y, and we also explore the copular marker in the dependency pattern, so we can see C here is the copular of this sentence 价值 and this head. So using this pattern, the copular head, the head noun here is the copular, has a copular relation with C, and again the 尊言 here is the nominal subject of this head. Okay, with such dependency pattern, we are able to automatically capture the concepts in the chi-metaphor pattern. And as I mentioned, we already in the previous experiment, we already identified 19 sentences out of 144 copular sentences. So the data we will send to our annotator is like this. The first two will be the automatically extracted nominal concept. For example, 市场 and 神话 is automatically extracted by the dependency pattern, right? And they also receive the sentence, the whole sentence, 完全自由的市场 the totally free market is just a myth, a kind of myth, 只是一种神话. So basically, we have three annotators to rate the metaphoricity of such sentences based on the two concepts, 市场 and 神话, and we will see the result. So they rate the metaphorical of above two sentences with a 5-point Likert scale. So if they give it a 5 point, which means the annotator totally agree that usage of the two nominal concept is totally metaphorical. And if the rated the sentence and the two map concept with the 1 point, yeah, it's suggesting that the annotator entirely totally disagree that is metaphorical. Yeah, it's not metaphorical at all. So here's the result like this. The first annotator give the 5 point of metaphoricity to this sentence, 完全自由市场只是一种神话. And the second annotator also give it 5 point, and the third annotator give it 4 point, and we will calculate the average metaphoricity based on these 3 points, 5 and 4. So on average it will be 4.67. And also, as I say, we also explore the concept net, the network of concepts to calculate the distance between these two concepts. And let's back to this slide. In concept net of 5.5 version, and we have the relation between concepts. For example, 想念 is a type of 思念, and 思念 is a type of 折磨. We have this kind of relation, and based on this information, we try to estimate the distance between concepts. For example, 想念 and 折磨, because they got only one node, that is 思念, between these two concepts, we will consider the distance about 2. Yeah, linking from, it takes 2 steps, 2 nodes to linking from 想念 to 折磨. So we will estimate the distance like 2 based on such information. So again, so back to our slide, 完全自由市场只是一种神话. we try to estimate the distance between 市场 and 神话, and we found 市场 is a location for people, and we have also from the concept that vampire, sea sugar is kind of people, and we got legend is the vampire is a kind of legend, and the legend is kind of myth or similar to myth. So basically we have such concept paths between two concepts based on the concept net 5.5. So here we estimate the distance between this 市场 and 神话 between these two concepts, and we consider if we calculate the total length of this list, it will be 5. Yeah, it's got 5 concepts in this concept path. The estimate as 5. So basically, we try to investigate the correlation between the mean metaphoricity and this concept distance. And before we show the final result, we also estimate the inter-annotated agreement between the 3 annotator, and it's about 0.645. Yeah, the Kupintov alpha basically is just nearly tentative agreement between annotator. Yeah, the threshold should be 0.67. And okay, let's see the final result about the correlation between the concept distance and metaphoricity. And we can see we conduct a Pearson correlation test about the relation between metaphoricity and the concept distance. I found a significant correlation. It's a negative correlation, slightly negative, minus 0.207, 203. It's slightly negative. It's suggesting the longer the distance, the lower the metaphoricity. Okay, so it has some discussion about the result. Basically, we already devised a quality dependency pattern based on the coupler relation between the two concepts in the dependency path to automatically capture the two map concept in a coupler sentence. And our inter-annotator agreement is about 0.6. Yeah, just a tentative agreement between the 3 annotators. And I think our annotation guideline could be more strictly followed, or could be more designed with more quality. And also we found a significant slightly negative correlation between the degree of metaphorical usage and concept distance. And here's our contribution, and we found the 144 annotated metaphor sentences, and we also annotated 400 simile sentences. And again, we found a slightly negative correlation between the metaphoricity and the concept distance. And that's current, our limitation is the current results are still limited to our annotated data. It cannot scale to the new data or more large scale data, and we have need to examine the application to other unannotated sentences in the future. Thank you, and any question or comments are welcome.